Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Oregon Moto John here. I just did some minor tire work on the Honda 450 RL. I'm trying to break my Goldentyre addiction. I love Goldentyres. I've been running those on pretty much everything, and with good reason because they work so good. There's only one problem, and that's longevity. It seems like I can burn through a set of Goldentyres, especially the rear, not so much the front, in 1,000 miles or less. Part of it is the throttle, what I'm doing with the throttle, and part of it is the horsepower that this 450 makes. So I keep dissolving rear tires, largely because of my own fault. But that being said, I want to try something that I've run on my other bikes, and just hopefully it'll last a little longer. So we're going to do some tire talk. I'll tell you what I'm doing, and just a word of caution too. I was running this bike a little low on the tread on my Goldentyre. I'll show you here in a second the tire I'm pulling off. Last time I rode, I walked by, I detailed the bike out and when I've been walking by it in the garage, I was looking at the rear tire, and I could tell it was getting it was almost down to the wear bar, pretty close. And I've always never really tried to run my rear tire down that low, or my front, not because you can't keep riding that way, but because I feel like it puts you at risk for a puncture flat, because there's less rubber for the puncture object to go through. It's that simple. If you have more rubber here, yes, it can get punctured, but it's less likely to if at least you're raised off the surface that you're driving over that could puncture you. Okay, so I'll show you what happened, and then we'll kind of come full circle with what tires I was considering and what tire I put on. And I want your feedback on tires you guys like. I think as dual sport guys, we know tires makes a difference, so we're always into tires. Okay, well, here's the Goldentyre I was running. It's got about 1,000 miles on it, and as you can see, I was pretty much down to the wear bar. I maybe had another millimeter to go before I was at it, but I generally don't like running tires down this much. But to Goldentyre's credit, when they get worn down, they're so soft and grippy. I was getting plenty of traction. I had this thing up in some somewhat muddy conditions and trails and dirt. It was hooking up. It hooked up on the highway. I mean, it hooks up. So it's kind of that soft intermediate compound where but it doesn't self-protect very well. It does wear, and I run heavy duty tubes. So I'll show you though. The other day I was walking by my bike thinking, man, this is getting low. I'm getting susceptible for a puncture. And funny thing is, as I was walking by, I looked at the tire, and I noticed there was like this little thing that looked like a rock embedded in the tire. Like you can see where my X is. I marked it so I could inspect the tube when I pulled it apart. And I started digging around, and I'll show you what I found. A nail. This rusty old nail. Here's where it was polished, and it was driven countersunk into my tire. I mean, and it was perpendicular to the tread. I mean, that is, I mean, you look at my finger. I mean, it's long. I mean, I don't know what that is, a ½ inch. I mean, it's pretty long. I'm shocked I didn't get a flat. So I thought, I'm going to pull this thing apart, and I'm going to see how close I was to getting a flat. All right. So basically, if we pull this tube out, I left the tube clocked in the same position that it was. So this is a heavy duty Tusk tube or Bridgestone tube. I can't remember which, but it's a heavy duty tube. Okay, I hope this shows up. Look at what we have right at the tip of my thumb. See that? That's the nail. That is the nail. It started to puncture. This is a 4mm tube. It was at it. There we go. That's showing up now. It was at the tube, but it did not puncture it. So credit to heavy duty tubes. But I have no doubt that this tire wore. This was countersunk into the tire, into this knobby. If it had gone in here, I definitely would have had a flat, but it was in the knobby. it was driving in, it was at the tube, and it was just a matter of time before this little edge punctured my tube, and I was walking home or trying to fix a flat up in the middle of nowhere, which isn't a lot of fun. So all that being said is, you know, if you have a higher knobby, it's harder for something to penetrate, right? This would have had it's just harder because you're lifted off the thing that's puncturing you. And yes, it can hit a sidewall, it can hit in here, it can hit different areas, but that's generally why when my tire starts to look like this, or ideally before it gets to this point, I like to replace them, and that has helped. I feel it's helped me not have as many punctures. So, okay, there's that. I'm running the Goldentyre on the front right now because it looks pretty good at 1,000 miles. It's getting a little worn. The knobbies are getting worn off. You can still see the G's on here. I'm not down to the wear bars or anything, but these side knobbies are getting squared off. I'll probably replace it in the near future. Okay, so there's the first lesson that I learned, or knew, but was being a little lax on, is don't let your tires get too low. You'll be more likely to get a puncture. Okay, so what did I go with? Well, I really had to fight the desire to go with another Goldentyre because I love those things. They just work. But I didn't really want to. I wanted this tire to last longer than 900 to 1,000 miles or 1,100 miles. Yes, I could have been disciplined with my throttle, but that's not as much fun to ride. So I didn't really want to. With this bike, I want to twist the throttle. I want to twist that throttle, right? Kick it in the ribs and go. So I was down to. I had my tire stock in my attic area, and I had a Tusk D-Sport that, you know, I've ran lots of times, and it's a little harder rubber. I had a D606, Dunlop D606 that I could have thrown on, and I don't know, I want to put the Tusk on. It mounted up, not as easy as the Goldentyre. I had to wrestle it a little bit. Wasn't horrible, but I had to pay attention. Like the Goldentyres, I can spoon one of those on, and man, this flexible rubber, I don't even feel like I've changed the tire. It's so easy. But so this has a little harder rubber, you can just tell. And then I thought I had a Motoz Rallz, or Rallz, I don't know how you, Motoz Tractionator Rallz. I almost put that on. It feels like it's, you know, a little softer rubber, but, you know, wider spaced knobs isn't going to protect quite as good as this Tusk D-Sport, but I'm sure it would have held up good. Guys have been getting lots of miles on these, and I actually ran the Motoz Tractionator Rallz on my KTM 690 and my 890, KTM 890, and good results. So it did take punishment. So I think next time I might throw this on. But what's your experience with the Tusk D-Sport versus the Motoz Tractionator Rallz with mileage? I just was kind of curious. And again, I'm not looking for a tire that you know, is giving the ultimate traction. I'm just looking for that dual sport happy medium, you know, of longevity and wear. Everything's a compromise with dual sports. We all know that. This bike, I don't go on single track as much as like my Husky 350 or my KTM 300. Those I want gummy tires or soft intermediate tires. This might see a little more pavement because it actually is nice on the pavement. It'll still be lots of gravel roads and some trails, short trails, and I feel like the Tusk D-Sport will hold up. So anyway, tell me your experiences. How many miles are you getting out of your Tusk D-Sports or your Motoz Tractionator Rallz? Let me know. Even Goldentyres, you guys can chime in on Goldentyres. Like you guys know, I'm try not to be a fanboy for those tires, but they're expensive, but they do grip. And I'm even thinking about swapping out this front for just the paired up tire, the Tusk D-Sport front, which, you know, looks like that. Looks like it would have really good longevity. You know, what do you think? How much grip am I going to give up with a Tusk D-Sport versus a Goldentyre? I mean, you can just look at that tread pattern and know that there's going to be a difference. But I got this thing. I try to match up tires when I can. And then here's the cool part. I've got one of the few sets of Tusk tires that are Dunlops. How do you like that? Yeah. Check it out. Anyway, I found these stickers on eBay. I have no idea if they're even going to stick. I cleaned this with rubbing alcohol, cut off the little nubbies that were getting in the way, put it on, took a heat gun to it. I don't know if they're even going to stay. So I just put in Dunlop stickers on eBay for sidewall tires, dirt bike tires, and I got them. So I don't know. I hope they work. I'm doubtful that they're going to stay on, but anyway, looks cool. Yeah, put them on both sides, and I'll do the front when I get a matching front on there. So there you have it. I guess today is chime in. Tell me what you think. What are you guys doing with tires? I always like a little tire talk. I definitely recommend a 4mm tube, extra heavy duty tube. I think it saved my bacon once again. I've had a few situations like this where I was inspecting a tire, found a nail, and I didn't get a flat. I think heavy duty tubes work. So yeah, tell me what you think. And here's the Tusk size I put on the back of the Honda 450 RL, the 120/90/18, and there's my nail. There is that nail that I was riding around up in the woods, up in the mountains, and just carrying that nail, but it didn't result in me walking home because of the Tusk heavy duty tubes, or it could have been a Bridgestone. I didn't inspect what brand that was, but I just happened to be putting a Tusk back in. So don't wear your tires down. I guess that's the lesson here. Don't wear your tires down to just nothing. If I had had 1mm less on this tire, I do believe I would have been walking home or doing some trailside repair that I really didn't want to do. And I knew better. I saw this tire and I knew I was getting close. I'm like, man, this is a nice, soft, grippy tire. I mean, things are going to want to go into that. And there was something in it. And I missed it. I missed it during my initial bike detail. I just caught it one day when I was walking by the bike, looking at the tire, and thought it just looked like a little rock in the tire, honestly. All right, well, hope you're all doing well. Thanks for watching. And, you know, nothing like freshening up your tires on a bike to help it perform better. All right, keep riding, be well. And I guess just a final note, I've used the Tusk D-Sport before. I've had pretty good results with it as far as longevity, but I don't have as many miles on it as I would like, so I can't really comment yet. But yeah, feel free to chime in. Tell me what your guys' experience in. I mean, you guys a Dunlop D606 guy? I've run those with good success. Are you a Tusk D-Sport? Are you a Goldentyre person? Are you a Motoz Rallz person? What do you like? I mean, and that Motoz Tractionator, Rallz, I have used that, and it is a good tire. It's beefy. But I guess my goal in this is to have something that can go off-road, gravel, dirt, but still self-protect on the highway. I guess I'm beating around the bush. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to... The Goldentyre, if I do much highway, it kind of melts away. It holds up better than I thought it would for its pattern, but it does tend to melt away. All right, well, chime in. Let's tell me what you guys are running on your dual sports, on your mid-size dual sports, lightweight dual sports. Tell me what you're using. You can even tell me what you're using on your bigger bikes too, because that's always fun to hear. And one last note, I know Jay from the Dirt Bike channel double tubes. You know, you'll put an old tube like what I just put outside to throw away. Cut out a portion and, layer it in here. And I can barely get, like today or yesterday when I was putting this tire on, I could barely get, this was hard to mount. There's no way I would have got a tube position in there. I mean, he's way more skilled than I am with that. So I have no doubt he can pull it off, but do you guys do that? I just don't. I don't quite have that skill. Maybe with a Goldentyre, those are pretty easy to mount. Maybe I'd have a shot with a Goldentyre double tubing, but is that something you guys do? Maybe that's more of a dirt bike track thing to do. But anyway, that could let you run a tire a little longer. That's all I'm thinking. But in the end, have lots of rubber. The rubber lifts you off the surface you're going over and helps prevent flat. So use your tires, but don't set yourself up for getting stranded out there. Keep some good rubber on your bike. So I did spoon on a front D-Sport tire. It went on super easy. So I don't know what my problem was with the rear tire, but the front tire, man, I had that on like piece of cake, like nothing to it compared to the rear. And the rear wasn't bad, just a little more struggle than a Goldentyre. So just make note when you put it on, it's directional. So make sure you get that going the right way when you when you put that on. So now we have matching front and rear Tusk D-Sport tires, and I'll like and subscribe. I'll let you know how they do over the long haul, how many miles I get out of them.